Hey folks, how's it going? RedMaster here, and welcome back to another installment of Yu-Gi-Oh! Master Duel, where today we're continuing the trend of showcasing some of the decks I've been using since the launch of Master Duel, and just having a good time with. Honestly, I'm not really super grindy, super competitive in the scene here. Showcase last season, I didn't really make platinum because I just didn't put in the time. I want to showcase a Frightfur build that I've been running that has been dangerously consistent in the OTK potential it has, but that's just because Frightfur is pretty strong in a one-game format, being able to just set up these OTK boards, smack your opponent for lethal before they even know what hit him, and proceed to the next game. That seems to be, you know, quite the thing going around in Master Duel. Is now people are starting to put the pieces together. You know, the Gem Knight FTK being rampant, other OTK variants and builds of other archetypes as well. And I mean, this is sort of like my mix, I guess, in the pot. Although not original, I still think it's a very fun deck here, mainly because it's pretty simple to use as well. So, without further explanation, let's go ahead and take a look at the Frightfur deck list for this video. Alright folks, and here is the deck list that we'll be rocking with for today's video. Now, obviously, there are some things that are quite noteworthy about the deck. The 43 main deck, the couple of ratio choices that might seem off. We'll try to explain some things as we proceed to the card by card. But first, we'll quickly go over what the deck aims to do. Essentially, this is an OTK strategy here. You want to establish your big fusions quite early on for them to do some big damage in the second turn, and potentially along the way break your opponent's board, whether they set up turn one, using the abilities of these fusion monsters. Notably, Tiger, Kraken, and Crew Whale all can do some amazing remove card abilities that can really just clear the way for your big swing turn. So that's essentially what the deck wants to do. But the main deck is pretty dedicated to establishing all manners of fusions instantaneously, given that you have the pieces. There are some hands, I would say, that do brick, like I say the hand traps, for example, or just sitting clogging up your hand with the reborn or something like that. But regardless, it's very hard for this deck to find its bricks, although it does have it. It's worth mentioning. I think all decks kind of do. But let's go ahead and explain a bit of the card by card here to kind of give you in on how we essentially turbo out our big game-ending fusions. Maxi at 2. This is the hand. Well, I guess we'll go the hand traps first. Well, we run Maxi at 2, Ash Blossom at 3, and a Lightning Storm, mainly because this is my only hand trap package going right now. I have the 3 Ash. I don't have the 3rd Maxi, and Lightning Storm I think is just my 3rd of Maxi. So that is essentially where these cards are coming in from. Basically, it's a way for me to disrupt whatever my opponent's doing, so that way I can maybe break their board a bit easier. But of course, hand traps are just overall widely used, so no further explanation on why those are needed. We're running 3 Owl here for 3 polys. These guys can search the polys, so it makes sense that they are in here as 3 of to get 3 polys. Sheep, which I don't know if I'm running at 3 in the future, but of course, Sheep is a way for me to recur my Edge Imps, basically the sharp guys, from the graveyard to potentially combo off into more fusions. Edge Imp Sabers, the most basic of the Edge Imps. If it's in the graveyard, you can special summon it by placing a card on the top of the deck. I just use it for the Edge Imp name, just to get Tiger on the board. Fluffle Bear to discard to get Toy Vendor, which we'll go over in a minute here, but Toy Vendor, a very powerful card for the strategy. Bear at 3 to get the vendors potentially, or just to serve as more Fluffle fodder. Edge Imp Saw at 2, again, another Edge Imp to the name, but not as relevant as the Chain or Sabers. I do think it is smaller. I just don't like it as a 3 of here. I think having it a 2 of is fine. It is able to discard to draw 2, much like Penguin's able to do, but on normal summon, which is fine. But yeah, I don't really like using Saw as much, so he's at 2. But I do recognize he is a necessary card, so we throw him at 2. The Ash Blossom, which we already went over. The Fluffle Dog, which can search out the Edge Imp Sabers from deck. Very good if you have the fusion and just need that Edge Imp Sabers while Dog on board. Just summon Dog, search the Sabers, go into the fusion, etc. Lovely to have that at 3. Edge Imp Chain, which I figure is a very important card to the strategy. It is able to search a lot of our more powerful spell cards from the deck by just being in the graveyard from the field or hand. So basically, if you can get a fusion off using Chain, you can trigger Chain to add back any of these other cards, which are pretty good. I mean, Patchwork is good. The Frightfur Fusion is good, but we'll get into that in a moment. Fluffle Penguin, a way to special summon more Fluffles for potentially any of our Nightmare Link combos. And he also has a draw ability, which is pretty useful when you are able to fuse with him. So it makes sense. He is also a 3 of. 3 Poly as our fusion for fusion monsters. We have a ton of fusions we need to get going here. So Polymerization is a must have at 3. Reborn at 1 in case I need to bring back a fusion monster. Say if they survive the OTK potential somehow, is an easy way for me to cheat out back one of my Frightfur monsters to maybe clean up the game for me. 2 Frightfur Fusion, potentially the card I'm thinking of putting at 3. This, of course, is a way that we can further extend our fusion potential here by banishing fusions in the graveyard. So say if I poly my bear and saw a way to create Kraken, I can then follow up with the Frightfur Fusion to go into a whale and, you know, just get more Frightfur established on the board, which is what the deck wants to do. So I did experiment with it at 2. It might be going to 3 here, maybe subbing out for a sheep. I have to mess around with the numbers still, but currently that's what we've been playing our games with. Patchwork is a way to summon or a search a Edge Imp and Poly to deck from deck to hand. Again, great if we want to just start going off on our fusions. Frightfur Reborn as the in-archetype Monster Reborn for Frightfurs. Again, sort of like Monster Reborn, but can also return banished fusions for potentially more Frightfur fusions. Lightning Storm, we already explained the hand trap here. And Toy Vendor at 3 to be a discard outlet for, or a cycle outlet, actually. It makes more sense to call it that. It can cycle a card to draw a card if it's a Frightfur, or if it's a Fluffle monster. You can special summon it. Anything else goes to the graveyard, which can be useful when you get another Toy Vendor or a Chain or stuff like that. It can be very good for that. But on pop, when you destroy it with something like Whale, you can add an Edge Imp Sapers or Fluffle from deck to hand as well. So there is some utility in having the Whale pop both the Vendor and maybe something else on the board on your opponent's side to create some good value from that. But overall, that is the deck here. Pretty straightforward. Just big fusion, big hit. Simple as can be. Let's go ahead, though, and see how it works in some games. Alright, folks, and much like last time, we're actually going to do some replays and then go into a live demonstration of the deck. But essentially, we're showing off this replay because we want to show you what the deck is meant to do, basically, when you fulfill the big combo. So, we're going to go ahead and open up here with a literally phenomenal hand here. We have Toy Vendor to potentially search a Fluffle. We have the Patchwork to summon out or a Edge Imp plus a Polymerization. The only thing we do need, though, is a Fluffle, but we are on the draw here, so potentially able to go into something off of the top of our deck here. So our opponent's playing Pendulum here. He's going to do some stuff with Pendulum setups here. We're going to negate one of the searches off of the Revolution Dragon. He has another one, though, so he'll pay 500, as you can see right here. Pays 500, gets a Dark Worm, I believe that is. He'll do a Spiral Burst to add a Odd Eyes Pendulum Dragon from deck to hand. Go for the Dark Worm to bring out the Donut into the hand here. Donut's going to set up the Pendulum Scales. Yep, there goes 1 and 2. So there's the Pendulum Scale to set up. And he'll go ahead and summon out, I believe, the Odd Eyes from hand, excuse me. Yep, there it is. And end on that. So honestly, not too frightening of a board here. Again, it's stuff that we do have to clear out. We do have to be mindful of some of the things here. Odd Eyes Arc Pendulum is something that we need to kind of pop before anything else. And then have a way to clear his board here. So it's a bit of an order here, but we can do it. And there, of course, is a beautiful top deck for us, a copy of Fluffle Sheep. We did mention we needed a Fluffle to really turn on this hand, and we have found said hand. So, I'm going to open up with a Patchwork here, just in case that there's a hand trap lurking over there on his end. So, we're going to see if we can maybe bait it out with this. There isn't. We'll get a Polymerization and a Edge Imp Chain to hand. Set up the Toy Vendor to discard something. I go for the Chain discard here because, of course, the Chain discard happens from anywhere in the field or hand. So if you do discard it, you can pull off the ability. So that's great value for us. We'll pull a Fluffle Owl as well, which is just extra gravy. We'll be able to summon that owl, search the Polymerization as well to just make things better. Get a poly search. We'll do a, I believe, Frightfur fusion search with the chain. No, reborn. We did have a chain already. We do have fusion. So go for the reborn here. And reborn is just insurance, honestly, at this point. I probably could have gone for a second Frightfur fusion, but I can only activate once per turn. So I think reborn was just safer as the insurance policy in case his hand trap would have cleared me out like Nibiru or something. Regardless, we're going to go ahead and start the chain here. Fusion summoning the Cruel Whale first off. The Cruel Whale is going to be able to pop both my vendor here to get another search, and we're going to pop the Ardai's Arc Pendulum because I think that was the one that we couldn't destroy anything else by battle or card effect, or else you would get some ability here. So recognizing that, we're going to go Cruel Whale into the vendor and the Arc Pendulum. Starts with Fluffle Dog here. We have not normal summon, so crucially we'll be able to normal summon Fluffle Dog, bring forth another Edge Imp Sabers to hand, fuse the dog and, or no, the owl and the sabers, excuse me, into a Fluffle Tiger. We could have extended as well into Fluffle Dog to clean up this board, but I figure the donut's not going to do too much, so we'll just do the Tiger. We'll pop the Ardai's Arc Pendulum, Ardai's Pendulum Dragon and the Dark Worm. Go for the Frightfur fusion to banish Sheep and Sabers into, or from grave. Fusion summon again into the Kraken. The Kraken is able to hit twice after all. We'll swing in for some damage here. We'll give the Kraken some extra boost thanks to the whale. Swing in for a massive 9,000 damage to end the game. And that's essentially what the deck wants to do. Very simple. Set up a big Frightfur board and swing out to hopefully where your opponent just can't respond. So yeah, fantastic showing, and of course we do have some more to get to, but what happens when, say, your OTK gets stopped? How does the deck handle that? Alright, so next game here we are going to proceed. Yep, there goes the replay. Love to see it. And of course, looking at the opener here, it's not too bad again. We have some Fluffles, we have Patchwork crucially to search Polymerization and Edge Imps, and we see our opponent just going for a set pass. And I'm thinking, great, it's another way that we can just easily end off this game. We're going to search there, or start with the Patchwork, searching Poly and Chain. Go for the Fluffle Owl to bring forth another Poly into hand. Going into the Polymerization, getting met with the Max C. Now, I honestly probably could have played through the Max C here, but I don't remember what happens. Usually Max C isn't an issue for the deck. The worst comes to worst, they end up drawing something like Nibiru that just slaps your entire board away after your 5th summon, which I think this deck unfortunately has to go to. I might be mistaken, it might be 4 summons? 4 or 5. Regardless, Maxi is dangerous because it could have drawn him into a lot of hand traps to interrupt our combo here. But regardless, we're actually going to proceed a little bit further into the Maxi here. Actually, no, we're not. We're just going to, I believe, use the chain to search the fusion, right? Yeah, that's what we did. And then walking into the Mirror Force, which is gross. Thankfully, we have the Reborn in hand that we can bring back the Kraken. I'm not super worried about that. But here's where things get a little weird. He sets up a Shaddoll fusion. So going for a Hollow and Ariel to fuse into whatever the hell that's called. This was the first time I ever read this card in my life. Essentially, it provides him to negate special summons from grave using spells. So shutting down my Frightfur Reborn, essentially, which wasn't really a problem. We could easily just go into another fusion with the Patchwork in hand. But yeah, slaps me for 2,700, leaving me with a bit of a rougher situation. Now, thankfully, because we did not go further into the Max C, we were able to keep a lot of resources in hand for us to set up the combo again. But normally, in a scenario where you kind of set up the combo and get stopped at the very end with no resources, that's when you're going to have a problem because it's very difficult for you to, again, establish that board without some tricks. But we're going to start off the turn just like the last. Frightfur Patchwork getting Sabers and a Poly. Going for the Polymerization, fusing Sheep and Sabers into, I believe, the Tiger? No, the Daredevil, excuse me. We're going into Daredevil here. I figured Daredevil is fine just to slap into whatever that is. The 3K body is nice. Going for another fusion here into the Kraken. I, again, was looking for a way to kind of just swing out some more damage here. Popping into, again, whatever the thing is called, for Daredevil, 300 plus the 1000 from the Daredevil ability, and swinging in for 44 with the Kraken. Not lethal, but under the scenario that we had, it's all we could really do here. We could have used, I think, the Frightfur Reborn in, well, we couldn't have actually, thanks to whatever that fusion was, this thing. So we didn't have enough to kind of swing out for lethal, although we had the potential to, just because of that stupid Shadow monster. Regardless, Kraken switches over to defense after the end of the battle phase, and we will proceed to his turn again. See the Shadow fusion, meet it with a max C of our own to hopefully get some cards into our hand. He has to commit to at least one special summon thanks to the activation of fusion, so we were guaranteed a card here. He's going to go for Construct, which is not bad. Construct is neat after all. He gets the Fluffle Bear, which is nice. Fluffle can get us a Toy Vendor if we need it. He'll go for a couple of Shadow plays here to establish a Squamata, which is going to be set, which can, I believe, flip and destroy when something hits into it. So we have to find a way to kind of pop that without triggering the ability here, and he will use Construct's ability to pop our special summon Frightfur Kraken. So, again, a board that we can hit over, and with him at a much lower life total, it should be much easier for him to die this turn. So let's see if we can get it done. Going into the draw for turn, we do pull another Frightfur Fusion, which is very nice. We will go for the Bear, however. Bear going to set Toy Vendor. Activate Toy Vendor. I believe we go for the Frightfur Reborn as well. Reborn is going to bring out the Kraken, putting the Reborn in our graveyard. Importantly, to shuffle back our banished cards in the next turn if we decide to go for a next turn. We'll trigger the Vendor here, though. Vendor is going to send the Sabers to grave. Sabers, of course, will be set up for our Frightfur Fusion. We can fuse away the Bear and the Sabers from grave to bring out yet another Frightfur. Thankfully, we also pull a Toy Vendor here off of Toy Vendor, which will still trigger the search of Toy Vendor when it's discarded here, although he will stop that first ability here with the Ash Blossom and the Joyous Spring. Not great, but it is what it is here. We'll go for the Toy Vendor search again, though, because we are going to be summoning Cruel Whale. Banishing the necessary materials here, going into said Cruel Whale. Able to now pop the Toy Vendor plus his set card, which is fantastic. I believe he gets a trigger, though, off of this. Yeah, Squamata will trigger, I believe, setting the Hell Shadow. The Hell Shadow thing, I believe. Or no, he mills one, and then I think we'll go into the Hell Shadow thing. Yeah. Or he'll use, I think, what was that? Ariel? Wendy? Wendy will set the Hell Shadow. It's fine. We still have the potential to swing over here. We will search the dog using the polymerization, getting a tiger, excuse me, to the field. Tiger will trigger, popping the Construct and the Hell Shadow. Hell Shadow will mill, I think, Construct returning the fusion to hand if he gets a next turn, which, spoiler alert, he won't be, just based on this board. He'll get the fusion back. He'll mill, I think, off of the Hell Shadow, mill a Duster. Not going to help him here. Swing with Daredevil for game for big lethal. And yeah, still able to kind of pull off our combo, even though it wasn't on the turn one. It just goes to show you how nasty we can be with this deck, given the proper resources, given that you know how to trigger the Frightfur abilities here, knowing what's important to pop, what's not, etc., etc. But overall, a really fun deck. But folks, we do want a live demonstration of the deck, so let's go ahead and jump into a ranked game and see how well the deck can perform. Alright, folks, and into our match we go. We are going to go second. We did win the coin flip. Very good for our OTK deck. See what our opponent has for us here. I think there are some things going around here. I mean, I'm just in the silvers because of the reset, so I have no idea what people are playing down here. Main phase one, though. Oh, I mean, we've got the Blue Eyes sleeves. Are we playing Blue Eyes? Are we doing funny Blue Eyes things? Guess not. Let's see. So Saw's gonna be nice. Yeah, okay. Blue Eyes. Wonderful. Alright, going for the alternative dragon. By revealing the Blue Eyes to us. That is fine. How far can we pop off here, though, King? That's the question. What are we feeling? Okay, alternative pass. Does this have any other effects besides... Oh, Reborn. Reborn could be nice. Let's see here. Once per turn. Okay. That's something. Let's go for Patchwork first. See if I can draw any sort of potential hand traps. Looks like there isn't. That's great. Go for the Sabers. Go for that. Do I have OTK potential right now, actually? Let's go. Let's try. So Poly. Oh wait, I messed the order up. I should have activated Toy Vendor. This is still fine. We'll go into Kraken. We'll do that and that. We'll bring out Kraken. We'll use Chain. Chain will get us the Frightfur Fusion from deck. We're going to set up Toy Vendor properly this time, instead of not doing it. Going to Fusion, Frightfur Fusion, going to get the Cruel Whale, banishing Chain and Bear. Going into... There it is, the big whale, love to see it. Cruel Whale comes down, Cruel Whale is going to trigger, so we will pop both Toy Vendor and the Blue Eyes here. Activate Toy Vendor. We're going to bring ourselves a Owl into hand here. I would like to use another Polymerization, and we can just normal summon the Owl. We have not normaled yet, so we'll do that. We'll bring forth, not you, Whale. We'll bring forth Polymerization again. Go into the Poly for a third time, fusing away, not that. Well, we'll get to the Whale. We'll get to the Whale. Do I want to go for, I guess, we'll go for, let's see. We have 44, 26. I think we go for Daredevil here. And we'll go Owl, and then we'll go, I guess, Saw? Do that. Leave that there. And then go into battle here. We will swing. We will declare Whale here. Whale is going to pitch Wolf. I like to pitch Wolf. I don't know why. I just do. So 33. Swinging in again. 33. Swinging in again. 26, which is more than lethal. And there we go. That is, of course, the Frightfur OTK. Now, granted, our opponent didn't set up as much as they did in other games, but I think this is still a great demonstration of just how powerful the OTK is, pretty much with a lot of different hand combinations you can get in this deck. So, overall, I like it. It's fun. Frightfur is really just straightforward, pretty simple, and very easy to use. And I think that's going to be great for a lot of potential new players as well. So, with that being said, let's go ahead, folks, and close off this video. Alright, folks, and with that being said, I think that's going to close out another edition of Master Duel. If you did enjoy the video, be sure to let me know by leaving your thoughts on the Frightfur list down in the comments section below. And if you did, be sure to leave the video a like, be sure to share with your friends, and be sure to subscribe to show your support to the channel and help us grow at no additional cost to you. But folks, that is going to be it for me for now. So, until next time, stay gaming.